Now, many of you guys have probably seen other softwares out there. There's definitely some third-party applications that are in the market. We, Sage Paperless Construction, are the one documentation system that Sage is putting together themselves. So if you're looking at anything else, just note that one you're looking at here right now, Sage Paperless Construction, this is our Sage's document system that we're building together with our software to take us into the modern age with all the documentation. The first part about this that I'm going to go ahead and cover is scanning documents into the system. Might as well start from the beginning. How are you getting your documents into any system that you're working on? Well, the answer is this is pretty much going to work across the board however you're using it. We work with scanning documents directly into our system. If you have documents emailed to you, you can take and drag them right out of your email into Paperless, or you can take them into a folder and drag them in as well. Any type of way you have your documents in the system, we can pull them in. As an example, I'm going to grab a bunch of invoices that somebody had emailed me earlier and I put into a folder. I can literally take this and drag it in the system and say, open file. Now, what this is going to do is it's going to show me all 24 pages of this document. If I had scanned this in, I'd scan it into Paperless, and it would basically come in the same way. I would have all my paper in a row, how this is going to be. Now, first thing I'm going to do is say, well, this is not 24-page invoice. This is 24 different invoices. So what we do is we give you a split utility built right into this. Right from here, I can split it out. Now, if you've pre-collated your information, and I happen to know this one is, every single one of these pages is a different invoice. I can actually come over here and say split every page, and across the board it just chops it all up. You have 24 different pages, 24 different documents. I hit split, and it's done. I can do it every other page or every 3 pages or whatever that range is. But we also wanted to make it as simple as possible if you didn't collate your data ahead of time. So you can actually use your keyboard, the down arrow and the space bar, to just hit space, down space, down space. And every time you get to a new document, you just hit that button. And if there's anything that's multiple pages, you just keep on going down until you get to the right one that now starts up your next page, allowing you to split this document out quickly into all its corresponding components and break it off so you can get those invoices put in and coded out. Or whatever those documents are. It doesn't have to be invoices. It could be that you're storing in your lien waivers and your purchase orders and your human resource documents like W-2s, resumes, 1099 forms. You can store in all of your project documents, your RFIs, your contracts. Sky's the limit. Anything you want to store in here, you can, and we do that through a method that allows you to quickly index, as we call it, all the values to something in the system so that it could be easily retrieved later. Think of this purchase order I have on the screen right here. I would basically tell it this is a purchase order, so I know what type of document I'm working with here. And from here, I would say, well, this has got some certain values that we'd want to be able to search for later in the system. How do I code those in? I know there's other systems out there, and I mean, we've seen them all in the past or things like that where you just literally have to fill in every single one of these one by one. Maybe there's a lookup that looks back into Sage, but you're still having to fill out every single field one by one. With Sage Paperless Construction, we want to make that as simple as possible for you. So when I code in a purchase order, I pull up a live link back to my POs in the system, select the appropriate PO, and then it'll read my Sage database to grab in the purchase order amount, and the date, the vendor, and the job. And all of these values now are stored in, so if I needed to search for this particular document later, I'm going to easily be able to do that by date range or by vendor or by purchase order amount or anything else that I just got coded there. If this was a different type of document, the same scenarios apply. Perhaps I'm in the project management side and I'm coding in an RFI that I just received. I have my same direct link into my purchasing or my project management section of Sage. I select the appropriate area, and it's just going to code in all the other values behind the scenes. And if you find there's anything missing that you also want to add, hey, I also want the RFI type, and it's not pulling that in, well, that's an easy customization away. All documentation stored in our system here is customizable. And this means that I can create my own categories besides just the standard ones that come with the software of AP, human resources, payroll, and project management, I create my own categories. Could be personal documents, could be property management documents, could be XYZ, doesn't matter. You create your document types. You can create your own document, actual types of documents in the system as well, and you can create the values of which they're coded. Again, these are all the different ways you can search for a document. So as I see certain people would actually add maybe kind of a unofficial batch number or something, so that certain document types are all going to code with the same number, even though they're completely disparate and they don't have anything tied back in with Sage, but they all are related in some way outside of that system. So they'll put maybe their own individual batch number on here. You can customize them however you want. You can even custom the lookups back into Sage. So as I pointed out earlier, when I have the RFIs, I might also say, well, go and grab the RFI type as well. Don't just leave that off. We can code that into the system to make this as anything you want. It's just sky's the limit. Now, I'll go through and grab one more example on here, and then we're going to move into kind of the next section, which is what do we do with all these documents once they're in the system? I got a lot of POs here. Let me find something that's not a PO. Here we go, lien waiver. I've got my lien waiver. I'm going to go ahead and code that in. Now, I'll also point out things don't have to be related to a document within Sage 100 or 300. It could be completely outside of the range, or half and half. A lien waiver, for example. You may not actually have a lien waiver, section in Sage 100 or 300. You do know that lien waivers can be created out of that software, but there's no direct table for lien waivers. So what we do is, well, you just code it out to the vendor, you code it out to the job that it's part of, and you tell it what type it is. I mean, we can literally pull values from anywhere. You can create your own lists. Everything's tied together so that you can store this exactly how you need it. You hit index, and now it's in the system, ready to go. Now, all these documents are being stored in. We're going to get to the retrieval method in just a minute. But before we do, I just also want to let you know, we can route for approval any of these documents we're talking about here. We have what we call the doc route module. And within Paperless, I can pull that up. And what this will do is give me my queue of documents that have been routed to me. And you could set up automatic routing rules, which is exactly what I have here for my purchase order. I have a rule that says it automatically goes to the Justin person in my company. He gets it for routing and approval. He approves it. Once it goes to him, it goes back to me so I can verify anything and take action. I have a purchase orders doing that. It could easily be that you put in vacation request forms on human resources that it routes to the supervisor of the employee marked on the document. It could have a subcontract get routed to the project manager to verify and put in approvals. Whatever the documents you want to store in the system, we can put in and have a route and go around for approval. Now from here, I'm just going to go ahead and look at this document. Looks like I put a sticky note on here. We do have full annotation capabilities on all of our documents. So I could put in sticky notes, I can do highlights, redactions, custom stamps. So if I do want to put an approved stamp on this, say it's all good, I can drop that down. It'll put my name and the date, timestamp, and all that fun stuff. And then I would just go ahead in here and say approve or reply. Maybe I want to ask a question back over to the person who sent it over or reroute the document. I got all the different pieces there to put in my appropriate information on a particular purchase order or whatever that document is that's being routed to me. Think of, the other side to this as well is this could be easily part of your whole process where a document comes in, you have those POs get approved. Once they're fully approved, that lets you know to then go ahead and start creating the AP invoice that goes along with it. Once you get that final approval, I'll put in there. Now, before I jump into the AP side of things, because obviously if we're talking about purchase order approvals, they're all going to flow into the AP side at some point. I just want to let you know all the different ways in which we can get the documents out of the system. Now, one key thing I'm going to let you know here is we are all about security in the system, making sure people can only see the documents that they should see. And we do that in a variety of different ways. Now, I'm an admin. I can see everything in my system. So as I pull up my list of all documents, there they are. But you can easily lock down the types of documents people can view. Users logging into Sage Paperless can actually plug in their account or employee ID that's in the Sage accounting database behind the scenes. And what you could do is say, from whenever they're looking at human resources or payroll-related documents, only show them documents that have their employee ID on it. So if I were to do that, Keith Turner would log in and see only documents with his name, and every other document would just not exist for him. He wouldn't be able to see them. He wouldn't be able to do anything for those. On the side to that, because our security is potentially different from the rest of accounting, you don't need to have these same users have a login to Sage 100 or 300. They could literally use the Sage Paperless module by itself to come in and search for and access the documents they need. Or they could still use it in Sage 100 or 300 and just have them all linked together. But we do have the ability to have separate usernames and logins for that exact reason of security, because the security that's in Paperless may be different than the rest of the accounting system. Once I got all these documents out here, I can grab them, I can email them, I can print them off, and if there's been any annotations we've been marking on it, things like that, you can either include those with the email or print off or not. All that's available to me here. And we have full index searching down below. So if you're trying to find all your related documents to a particular job in a certain date range, we could do just that. Coming down below, I might say, okay, I'm looking for all my stuff that have an invoice date from, let's go back, oh, that's a bit far into the past. Let's go back to, let's just June, and let's say June 1st to today. Oh, and I picked 2017. Let's change that to 2016. And I also want, as I'm looking at this, all my jobs to be a certain number. So I want to find everything for job 0301 to 0301. I'm now looking for a specific date range of invoice dates with job number, and I can search, and there those documents are. Again, I can print them off, I can email them, I can jump down to any of these documents to get the information, look at the notes somebody put on it, and more. We actually have within here the ability to see how it's coded, all the notes from the approval process, but even more than that, I can always see an audit log that literally shows you everything. Who opened the document, who closed it, who changed a value, did somebody mark it up, did they put it on hold? Lots of different things. I mean, literally anything you could do on a document we have on the hold. And then we have an invoice detail report for invoices that go above and beyond all that to let you also see, who approved this, when was it indexed, when did it put in all the notes. Lots of detail we can grab off any of the documents stored in the system. And because all our documents are stored in the same system, you can find them all intermingled depending upon your search results. Going back to the searching as well, we also have the ability to set up your favorite types of what we call browser view. If I'm a project manager logging in, I might want to just say, well, I'm always looking at my two major projects here. I'll click on job 0301, and there's all the documents for that job right there. 0302, there's its jobs documents. I can, from here as well, break it down into even further categories. Now, I think nothing's going to show. I thought so. I said, show me everything for the last 30 days. Well, I haven't put a lot of invoices to this in the last 30 days, so that's coming up blank. But if I were to drop that back to 125 days, I'm going to absolutely see documents in there. I also stored in all my drawings that are for that job, so I can pull up those drawings and see them there. And we can even actually go on revisions on this type of stuff. So part of this whole system is that you're saving those documents. Well, as you get new pages, new things that are going to override it, you can literally put in the new page, remove the other, but have a snapshot of the original revision. So you could actually start using revisions throughout here and tracking all that. Lastly, I might want to look for it by subcontract. Everything that's a subcontract, let me know, and we have that coded by the fact that we have a category on those documents. That's on the project management side. Human resources might have their own set of things that they've created for themselves. So I could see all my human resources documents, payroll stubs, my I-9s, my resumes. Sky's the limit. You build it how you want to. You save it. Every user can have their own custom searches, and you have them there.